Okay, good day everyone. This video will talk about the part two of our corporate accounting discussion series. But before I proceed to discussing share capital or corporate accounting of share capital, let me have a recap muna of our last topic because my last video stopped here on the bylaws, which means the rules that govern the internal affairs of the corporation, thereby establishing how the corporate shareholders, officers, and employees shall be administered. Now let's continue to the corporate books, records, and financial statements of a corporation. So the first one is the minutes book, which records the details of the meetings with the stockholders or the of the member or the stockholders or of the members of the board of directors or trustees. So in your minutes book, it contains the minutes of the meeting. Okay, for the stock and transfer book, diri i-record no ang transfer of or it can be seen here the latest owners of the stocks. So it can also be seen here the history of transfers. For example, I transferred my share to Abigail. So then the stock and transfer book will then be updated na mawala na ko sa i-erase akong ownership and then i-transfer into kang Abigail. For the book of accounts, so this includes the general journal and ledger, and subsidiary journal and ledger were routine business transactions are recorded. So when we say, I know that you're familiar with the general journal, and for the ledger, we haven't used that. But what instead of the ledger, we were using the T account. Okay, for the subsidiary journal and ledger, we haven't used that yet. Okay, anyhow, this is just to introduce you in the concept of the books of accounts. Okay, lastly is the financial statements. So there are we are already familiar with the four basic components, which includes the income statement, the balance sheet, the statement of cash flows, and the statement of changes in shareholders' equity. Now, in corporation, there is an additional element or component, which is the notes to financial statements. Okay, before I continue again, I forgot to turn off my camera. Let me turn it off muna para dili mag-aga itong signal to avoid what happened kanina. Kanina naman. To avoid what happened in the last video wherein I got disconnected. Okay. So let's proceed to the part two of our discussion, which is the corporate accounting of share capital. Part two. Okay. So for us to talk about the corporate accounting of share capital, let us talk about the account titles. Oh, I'm sorry. Account titles in share capital transactions. Okay. So the first one is share capital. Second, we'll define these things later on. Authorized share capital. Then unissued share capital. Oh, perfect. Next, we have subscribe share capital. Subscribe share capital. Fifth, we have subscription receivable. Fifth, subscription receivable. Okay. And then we have share premium. 6. Share premium. 7. Treasury shares. Donated shares. Then lastly, our retained earnings. Okay. So for your share capital, so this is the amount of capital fixed or indicated in the articles of incorporation. So this is divided into, let me just do this. This is divided into shares of stock, which will be subscribed or paid in by the shareholders either in money, property, or services rendered. So um, when we say our share capital, this is the what do you call this one? Maximum amount of capital. Where was that? Maximum amount of capital a corporation can have. This can be expanded or this can be increased by amending your articles of incorporation. Amending the articles of incorporation doesn't mean that your corporation will be dissolved or its life will end. It doesn't mean magbutang lang ka og amendment, imo lang siyang i-change kamay. Okay? Now, for the authorized share capital naman, this is also indicated in your articles of incorporation. Articles of incorporation. So actually, authorized capital and share capital are used interchangeably with share capital. So meaning they actually have the same some they somehow are similar. Okay, so how we define the share capital, we can also call it our authorized share capital, which means that our maximum capital amount of capital a corporation can have. Okay, and then we have our unused share capital. So if no unused share capital means original and unissued shares of stock. So, 'di ba? Our share capital is divided into shares of stock. Now, once gali nga ma-issue na siya, meaning fully paid in na ang imuhang katong shares, then that will be the issued share capital. The unissued share capital is equal to um authorized share capital and we less our issued share capital. Okay, meaning katong wala pa gyud siya nabaligya. Okay, unissued. Wala pa nabaligya og unsubscribed. That's unissued. Actually, yeah, wala pa nabaligya, wala pa siya na-issue. Kay once nga naman gud tay mga ginatawag nga subscribe and unissued. You will only issue shares of stock once nga fully paid na ang imuhang katong nagka fully paid na si investor. Okay? So subscribed share capital. Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, in connection to this, in connection to our in issued shared capital, there is also what we call the outstanding share capital. How do we solve this? No, so it's authorized number of shares, and then we less our unissued shares, and we will get our issued shares. Then if we less from it our treasury shares, we will get our issued and outstanding. Okay. When we say issued and outstanding, these are issued and held by people out except by the corporation. Okay. And then, okay. Sorry. Sorry. Oh, okay. Now let's go to our um, subscribed share capital. So this represents the portion of the authorized share capital that subscribers promised or pledged to buy. So meaning, once nga ang subscribe pledged to buy. So meaning, kuan lang siya, more bitaw siya og kanang gi-reserve lang. So meaning, wala pa siya na bayaran. So subscription, wait lang, subscription receivable. Okay. Okay. Okay, yeah. Now, for your subscription receivable, this is not a capital account. This is actually an account used whenever there is a subscription. So, kung mag-subscribe tapos wala pa na bayaran, ang imuhang pro forma entry for this would be mag-debit ka ng subscription receivable, and then mag-credit ka ng subscribe share capital, and then pag sobra na aling kay share premium. Okay, so debit and then credit. We'll discuss further kung saan ni siya ang say possible scenario nga nung na share premium later on. Okay, so speaking of share premium, share premium or sometimes referred to as additional paid in capital. So this results from the excess payments, meaning made by the shareholders. So what do you mean by excess? Excess of payment over par value. Okay, I'll discuss to you later on what do you mean by par value. Okay, so for treasury shares, okay, for treasury shares, so these are shares issued. So meaning nabayaran na siya, niagi na siya og kabaligya. Okay, nabaligyan na siya, shares issued to shareholders which are later reacquired. What do you mean by reacquired? Gipalit balik by the corporation. Okay. So muna sa atong treasury shares nga kanang nabaligyan na siya pero gipalit siya balik ni corporation. Dili ang shareholders nagpalit ha, but si corporation nagbaligya siya og shares kang shareholder, and then after a while iyang gipalit balik. Ito, so katong pag-issue from unissued nahimo siyang issued shares, or from unissued subscribe na capital na rin siya, tapos pag nabayan na tanan, nahimo din siyang issued shares. And then after nahimo siyang issued shares, gipalit siya balik ni corporation, nahimo din siyang kanang treasury shares. And then let's go to related shares or donated capital. So this represents the donations or contributions received by the corporation either from a shareholder or an outside party. So once gali nga mag-donate ka tapos wala ka once kayo naka-receive si corporation ka, di ba? Usually kung maka-receive si corporation butang talang kwarta. So cash, and then usually kung naka-receive siya kwarta tungod kay nag-issue siya shares, ang yang entry dapat ano is share capital. Pero since donated man siya, wala siya gi-issue na shares, ang nahitabo naka-receive siya cash, ang iyang i-credit is donated capital. Okay? So, meaning kanang nagpaka-generous lang yun tong third party. What you mean by third party, dili siya shareholder, dili po siya, kaya wala siya laban sa corporation, nag-donate at siya part-time, nga na siya kadato. Okay? That's donated capital. And lastly, for our retained earnings, so this represents the cumulative earnings and losses, dividends, and prior period adjustments of a corporation. Okay, so 'di ba ang atoa ang okay, difference man gud guys sa sole proprietorship o sa partnership, kay 'di ba kung mabahinan sila sa ilahang earnings or sa ilahang losses, ang maapektuhan kay 'di ba si owner's capital o si partner's capital. Now kang corporation dili si share capital ang maapektuhan. Ang maapektuhan is si retained earnings. Ang meaning ni retained earnings is from the word itself, retained earnings, gipabilin nga halin. Okay? So retained earnings. Okay. Now, before we go to how to journalize transactions affecting the share capital, let me introduce you first to the studies concept of legal capital. So legal capital, dili ni siya account title, so not an account title. Tapos so this is a portion of the contributed capital that must remain in the corporation to protect the interest of creditors. So meaning guys, our legal capital is iyang formula ani actually guys is issued share capital, you add your subscribed share capital, issued shares of stock dahil. Shares of stock. Kuan ni siya, number of issued shares of stock plus the number of subscribed shares of stock. And then we multiply that by the par value. So meaning, whether or not paid or whether or not paid or for fully paid imuhang share ay imuhang subscribed share capital or napay utang, wala tay labot. Ang legal capital means ang number of shares of stock, i-add nimo ang tanan nga gi-subscribe nga share capital, multiplyan din nimo siya sa par value, that will equate to your legal capital. This will not be returned to the kanang shareholders as dividend. Dapat kanang mabiling gini siya dito sa company. Okay, so kung this is equal what do you call this one? Kani siya nga case is for kanang with par shares. Pero kung no par shares siya, your legal capital is equal to total of kanang kanang contribution received. So here guys, okay, sorry. So here guys, sa first ato ang kuan kung with par siya nga shares, walay labot si share premium or katong excess of par value. For no par shares, since wala man siya par value, so meaning katong tanan nga imo na receive, wala share premium ato. So tanan nimo nga contribution nga na receive, muna siya imong share, muna siya imong legal capital. Why do we have this legal capital? It is because of the trust fund doctrine. Doctrine. So this trust fund doctrine is the basis of legal capital. So this is not enacted by law, but this is a legal principle that prohibits corporations from returning or distributing its capital to its shareholders. The purpose of this is para maprotektahan bitaw ni ang inyoha bitaw maprotektahan bitaw ang inyohang katong ang mga nagpautang sa corporation. Ay di ba remember the fact in itself palang daan nga dili niya mapaningan si shareholder kay di ba shareholders have a limited liability. Meaning limited lang iyahang utang sa kato iyahang gi-invest. So kung iuli pa sa iyahang gi-invest, it would be very unfair to the nagpautang. Kaya nagpautang ba siya knowing na ay capital ang corporation. So kung iulit to siya, unsa ba maibayad sa imuhan? Unsa ba maibayad di corporation sa iyahang mga creditors? Muna siya nga nato trust fund doctrine. Okay. Okay. So, again, for the computation of your legal capital, guys, the balance of your subscription receivable has no bearing. Subscription receivable has no bearing. Meaning, dili siya maka-affect. Basta kay number of shares nga gi-subscribe plus number of shares nga gi-issue, i-multiply ni mo par value, that's for your with par shares. Tapos kung no par shares, tanan contribution received or receivable. Okay? So, saan to? Yeah. Okay. Now, let's go to the major classes of share capital. Okay, let me check muna basi mo para na punta ulit muna. Okay. Major classes of wala ka dito na ako save. Mag-save sa dito guys. Save as. Okay. Class videos. Ay, di isa sa class videos guys. Okay. OM39 corporate accounting discussion. Okay. So ayun. So there are what are our major classes of share capital? We have first the ordinary capital. And the second one is we have the preference ordinary capital. Ordinary shares. And the preference shares. So when is a share capital or a share of stock called ordinary? So when ordinary shares when its holder has the same rights or privileges. Privileges. Mhm. As other ordinary shares. Meaning, wala siya special treatment. Kung nagpalit kag stock, tapos maghulat lang kag dividend, tapos kung mag-distribute og dividend, kay wala kay special treatment, meaning, dili ka unahon, ana lugar, you're an ordinary shareholder or you have acquired an ordinary share. So, um, and then, usually po guys, when isa ra ka type or isa ra ka class of share capital ang gina-issue ni corporation, that would be ordinary shares. Okay? So kung duha ka classes, muna din na siya natawag na to nga naaling kay kanang preference share. So preference share is so-called preference shares because its holder has preferences. That is, he or she enjoys rights and privileges denied to ordinary shareholders. So, unsa man ang ato ang type of preferences, no? So, naa siya preference as to dividends, meaning kung maghatag og dividend si corporation, unahon siya bayad aya si ordinary share. Tas ang salin-salin kang ordinary share na lang dayon to. Okay, that's dividends. And then we have net assets. Net assets is when kung mag-dissolve na si corporation or kung mag-liquidate si corporation, kung ipangbalik ko after mabayaran ang mga gipang-utangan, una bayaran si preference kaysa kang ordinary, tas ang mabilin muna pulay na ang bahinan ni ordinary. So mga tanong mo nga, sir, nganong lugar nga magpalit pa ang people of ordinary shares nga mas tsada man si preference shares? Si ordinary shares, guys, naamoy right to say something ba? Murag, naamoy right to vote. Naamoy right to vote sa kanang kung kanang sa inyong corporation. Meaning, bahala pag minority shareholder mo, at least naamoy mas-say. Makavote mo kung kinsa ang new nga set of directors, things like that. So preference shares, it does not enjoy that privilege. Okay, pero when it comes to again dividends and net assets, unahon gyud siya kumpara kang ordinary. So, okay. So, for preference shares nga, preferred is as to dividends na tayo ginatawag na preference rate. So, meaning, kung mag-declare si, for example, like, preference rate is 10%. So, kung mag-declare og dividend si, corporation, ang tagaan, ihatag muna ang 10% sa par value ni preference, tas ang sobra mo lang tinabahinon sa mga ordinary shares. Okay? And then, again, for the net assets is kana kung mag-dissolve na ang corporations. So, naatay katong variations of ordinary and preference shares. Okay, wait lang. Okay. So, variations of ordinary and preference shares. Naatay ginatawag na par value shares. O naatay ginatawag na no par value shares. So, para mas ma-picture out ninyo, sir, unsa man ang par value? Okay. So, kuha abog 20 pesos or 100 or kung unsay papel ninyo nga kwarta nga naa ninyo diha. And then, tanawan ninyo, di ba, ang 20 pesos na 20 nakabutang. So, meaning, muna iyang par value. Muna yung value sa iyang nawong. Pero, as to pagpalit niya, for example, collector ka, Pero unanan to ninyo kanang 5 sa una katong 5 nga green or katong G's nga brown nga papel. So, di ba wala naman na siya karon. So kung ibaligyan nimo na siya, ang naa sa iyang nawong is G's. Pero pwede na siya palitan ng 100. Okay? So kung na kay so for butang talag so di ba G's ang iyang naka-state o iyang par value. But it was bought for 100 pesos. So meaning aha naman dayon ni kanang isa naman din mahitabo ani. So meaning ang katong di ba ang excess of par value is what we call the share premium. So for example, isa ka share ang gipalit, so naka-receive kag cash nga 100, tama? Ang moadto sa imong ordinary share capital, or kung preference ang gipalit, the preference share capital, is ang katurang par value, dili ang tibok 100. Unsa man yung pang-excess? Nalain kay share premium. Share premium dash ordinary. Kung preference ang gipalit, di share premium dash preference. So that's 90 pesos. Again, ang share premium is ang excess of kanang the payment received sa iyahang par value. Okay? And then, capital. At if no par shares, so for example, no par shares, so meaning wala kakabalo kung saan yung stated value. So kung na kay na-receive, so diretso ka cash and then ordinary share capital. Meaning, wala siya nakapautang sa iyang nawong kung pila ang iyang value. So 100, 100. Kung minsan mo na-receive, wala na siya. Nakakabalo kung excess ba or dili. Okay? Pero for no par shares, dapat dili ibabaligya ang shares less than 5 pesos. Okay? For no par value shares, natabutay ginatawag sa iyang na instances nga wala gyud siya gibutang. And then na instances nga wala siya amount sa iyang certificate or sa katong kwarta, wala siya amount dito. Pero nag-state sa Articles of Incorporation na iyang stated value is G's. So kung iyang stated value is G's, kung na stated value, yung pag-entry ana is as if na siya par value. So imong entry is kanilang gihapon. Okay? Okay. What else? So, let's go now to the journalizing of entries. So, basic transactions affecting share capital. So, first is authorization. So, ang akong i-introduce sa inyo, nasa duha ka book ways of journalizing this, guys. Pero I would only introduce to you one method, which is ang memorandum and entry method. So ang imuhang once dali nga naa siya kanang, for example, let's find an example here. Authorization. Okay. Tara. So June 1, 2019. Sorry. On June 1, 2019, Rona Corporation was authorized to issue 5,000 ordinary shares amounting to 5 million pesos. So meaning, dili pa lang daan, kabalo na ka nga ang par value ana is no. This is wrong. Sige, amounting to not 5 million. To 50,000 with a par value of mulagi. Hindi siya lagi. Okay, 500 ordinary shares amounting to 5 million. So, kabalo na kadaan nga, diri pa lang, with a par, diri pa lang daan, 5 million. So, nakikluhe nga par value is equal to kanang share capital amount divided by number of shares authorized for issue. Authorized for issue. So in this case, this is 5 million divided by 500,000. So with a par value of 10 pesos, with a par value of 10 pesos per share, and shares amounting to 4 million divided into 12% preference shares with a par value of 10 per share. So on the second one naman, you still using the same formula. Kabalo sa share capital amount, but wala ta kabalo sa number of shares authorized for issue. So para ma-compute nato na siya, kani siya ato siyang ibalin sa pika, so mahimo siyang times, and kaning times nga sa par value mahimo siyang transfer diri. So mahimo din siyang number of shares authorized for issue is equal to share capital amount and then you divide that by the par value. So in the case of the preference shares, yung answer would be 4 million 1, 2, 3 divided by the par value of 10, meaning imong shares nga kanang imong shares imong number of shares nga authorized for issue is 400,000. So unsa man imong entry dayon ana? Pag memo entry lang dayon ka, so kanang may batiwin by memorandum entry, so magbutang ka diri 2019 June 1. Ay. June 1. Okay? So imong memorandum entry dayon ro na corporation was authorized to issue 500,000 ordinary shares amounting to 5 million pesos with a par value of 10 pesos and 400,000 preference shares amounting to 400,000 12% preference shares. By the way, the 12% is your katubitang ginatawag na taganihan nga preference rate. Okay? So, a par value of 400,000, 12% preference shares amounting to 4 million pesos with a par value of 10 pesos. So, by memorandum entry, meaning imurag inarate o rinahitabo. Okay? And then, so for the authorization, ingana lang, imong ibutang. Okay? And then next is subscription. So, kung subscription, naatay instances nga at par. So, meaning, ang pag-subscribe niya equal to par value. So, let's assume nga kani on June 20, 2019, severe subscribe 15,000 ordinary shares of Rona Corporation at 10 each. While Bruce V subscribe 12,000 reference shares at 10 pesos each on the same day. Okay. So, para i-record na to ang katong kang Suvir nga nag-subscribe siya sa katong ordinary shares ni Rona Corporation. Excuse me. Yung mga entry na yun is, di ba? Nag-subscribe siya at par value. So, meaning, wala kay share premium. So, dahil siya yung performa entry na yun is subscription, receivable, ordinary, and then subscribe, ordinary share. Kung preference, ordinary. Kung XXX. Credit. Okay. Kung preference pod na is subscription, receivable, preference. And then subscribe, preference. Ang subscription receivable ha, kung preference become part of your asset. Kung more than a year, may deductions ng subscribe ordinary share. Kanit kung subscribe ordinary share or subscribe preference share, these are capital accounts and makikita sa equity portion. Okay, so XXX. Okay. So meaning, for para kang i-purchase ni kinsa ni siya ni Suvir. So di ba nagpalit ang imong receivable is equal to 150,000 multiplied by 10. And ang imuhang what do you call this one? 150, 15,000 times 10. Ay, ang imong subscribed ordinary share is, diba, imuhang siyang i-multiply at our value. Katong i-multiply ganiha is acquisition, murag ang amount so 10 pesos. Tapos, kung tapos ang imong subscribe ordinary share is katudayon at par value. So again, acquisition cost, this is at par value. Since equal ang acquisition cost ng par value, meaning wala tayo share premium. Same na kung diri sa mahitabo ang review. So this will be 12,000 multiplied by 10. Kahit pag-gis man iyong palit. And diri sa iyang i-credit is ang 12,000 multiply nito at par value of the preference share. So, again, equal man ang imuhang par value o ang imuhang selling price. So, meaning, wala kay share premium. Now, what if at above par? Sige, what if at above par? Okay. Above par. On July 1, 2019, Coron subscribe 8,000 ordinary shares of Rona Corporation at 14 pesos per share, while uh, while Anor subscribe 9,000 preference shares of Rona Corporation. Rona Corporation. At 12 pesos each per share. So, unsa man rin imuhang, kung above par value din siya, guys, ang imuhang pro forma entry would then change into this one. Naibadugang nga isa ka linya, which is ang subscription. Ang share premium dash ordinary, kung ordinary shares ang na-purchase, and then share premium preference kung preference shares ang na-purchase. So pag entry na yun mo ana, para kang Coron. Okay, so ang amount, again, ang amount na ibutang sa receivable is ang tibuok ng mga receivable, okay? So that is ang subscribe na 8,000 share multiplied by the price na 14 pesos. So that's 112,000. While ang imong ibutang sa subscribed ordinary share is ang number of shares plus i-multiply nimo siya sa par value. Ang sobra dayon is muna imuhang share premium. Diba? 32,000. Or you can solve that by doing this one. Number of shares purchased, tapos i-multiply nimo siya sa purchase price minus ang par value ng G's. Ay, ano naman yun? Ay, di man problem, no? 14 man yun. Okay, so we will still get 32,000. Same here. So, ang atong ibutang diri is ang 9,000 yung ipalit, i-multiply nato sa price na 12. While diri sa ato ang kanang subscribe preference shares, ang 9,000 yung ipalit, i-multiply nato sa par value na G's. Ang par value, guys, is makitaan diri sa taas sa preference shares at 10 each. Okay? Kani at 10 each. Muna yung par value. Okay? So, bradayon is 18,000. Or simply, the 9,000 multiply nimo sa dosing nga price minus sa G's nga par value. 18,000. Okay. Tapos, guys, no shares should be subscribed or sold below par. Okay, so dili kung this ang par value niya, dili siya pwedeng ibeligya og 9. Pinakamubo na nga presyo ang G's. Pwede siya mataas, but dili siya pwede mo ubos. Okay? And then, let's go to collection of subscription. Okay. So for the collection of the subscription, guys, there are 3 ways wherein makakollect siya og payment. Wait lang, guys. Yeah. Wait a minute. Okay. So, yun. So, first is cash, second is property, and then lastly, it's services. So, though I will only be showing to you the journal entry for cash, I'll just discuss to you kung saan difference kung what yung property, non-cash. Yung property, non-cash. So, pag non-cash asset bang good, daghan kay kag i-consider kay first is mag-consider ka sa fair value uh, of the non-cash consideration received. Consideration received. Kung wala ni siya ang fair value of the share capital issued, kaning fair value guys sa share capital is different from your par value ha. Your fair value of your share capital issued is completely present sa market. Okay? Kaya bantay maana nga na ibang nga magpalit sila og G's tas kanang asa ka daw ng presyo. Kanang pagsaka sa presyo, that's your fair market value. And then lastly is ang par value of the share capital issued. Okay? So, mo lang ni siya imong basis sa silbi sa unsa amount nimo gamiton as the consideration received. For the services naman, um uh, So for the services, it's either ang fair value of the fair value of the service or ang fair value sa capital issued, whichever is more reliable. Anyhow, do not concern yourselves too much on this because we will just concentrate on cash para wala na issue. Meaning, kung unsa mo nang dawatan, wow na yun to siya. Okay? So, okay, sorry. So, assuming si assuming nga si Suvir kay nagbayad. Okay? So, tapos, ano yung problem? So, this is cash. Last June 2019, Suvir ba to? Suvir paid her subscription amounting to 150,000. While ito yung kauban. Si Rusvi. Sorry. While Rusvi paid her subscription of 120,000 on the same day. Okay. So, once gali nga ko dayon guys, once dayon nga kanang naman yun. Okay. Once dayon nga kanang makollect na ni siya, your entry diba is this one. Muni imong entry. Right? So ang pro forma entry dayon nimo sa imuhang kanang collection would be kay cash man itong gamitin no, so cash and then credit to yung taog subscription receivable. Okay? And then XXX. Okay? So with that, Yan ang sa ubos. Para sa kato atong na-receive kang severe or atong napuan subscription receivable at tama no. Ordinary, and then this is preference. Okay? So, once ka na-receive na to ilang payments, may siya tong entry diri. So, for severe, it's 150,000. Na cash ang na-receive. And so, makuha ang tibuok na 150,000 na receivable katong na diri. And then, for Rus V, it's 120,000. Okay. So sir, what if partial lang ang nabayaran? So let's say, sige, let's assume na lang na ang nabayaran ni Rusby is only 60,000. Okay? So yung mga batang cash 60,000 and then 60,000. Later na lang, kasi kanina lang sila ang partial payment katong ikadang example. Sige. This is 120,000, 120,000. 120,000. Okay. So, ano siya, 'di ba dili mo mahibakon kung kinsa nag-wide o kung kinsa dili. Basta kay again sa part ni corporation, dili importante kung kinsa ang nag-subscribe as long as nakadawat sila card pa. Anyhow, sige. Unsa kisa tong ikakuan katong na-share ko niyo. Okay, si Coron og so last July 1, 2020. Kasi na lang, last August 1 na lang po. Last August 1. So, a month after. August 1, 2020. Coron paid Tilaman. So, Coron paid 56,000 while Anor paid 54. Anor paid 54,000. Okay. So, with that, ang ato na yung entry would be, actually, the entry would be the same. Okay? So, man siya mag-differ. Mag-differ din siya. Dito na din sa issuance of share capital. Okay. So, dito rin ta sa pila to iyang nagibayan 56,000, 56,000. 54,000 and 54,000. So, unsa naman dayon mahitabo sa ato ang journal entry kung ang share issuance. So, share. Okay. So, okay. For the share issuance naman, ang share issuance will only happen once the subscription is fully paid. So, sa kanya cases, kinsa ang fully paid? Malamang si Suvir o si Rus V. Fully paid sila sa ilang subscription. Pero, si Coron o si Honor are not yet fully paid. Kailang utang ba is 112 and 108 respectively, and they only paid 56 and 54,000. Kulang pa, so meaning dili pa sila na-issuehan. So meaning, kalas ang nagbayad nag-fully pay si June 20. So last June 20, 2019, Rona Corporation issued to Suvir and Rusvi. Issued to Suvir. Kila yung gipalit? Yung gipalit. 15,000 ordinary shares. And to Suvir, and Rusvi, 12,000. Suvir to Rusvi, 12,000. 12,000 preference shares upon full payment. So, excuse me, nag-fully pay naman siya, na-issue na din sila og shares. So, ang ato ang pro forma entry for issuance of shares would be subscribe ordinary shares, and then ordinary share capital. Pwede na po, sige, ordinary share capital. So, XXX. And then, the second set is subscribe, preference shares, and then preference shares capital. Okay? So, amounting to 150,000, and then 120,000, 120,000. Okay? So remember guys ha, nga ang maadto ani sa ato ang share capital, ordinary share capital is ang katulang according sa par value. 15 times 10 is 150,000 and 12,000 times 10 is 120,000. Okay, there are also instances guys nga lahi-lahi par value ang ato ang preference ng atong share atong ordinary share capital, okay? Sige. Now, for example on this part, kaning lugar sila sir o kaning lugar si Coron og si Anor, di ba? Na kuan man sila kanang excessive man ilang payment. Remember nga ang imong i-close is kani biyang subscribe nga mga account which is ang imuhang amount gamit is according to par value. Kung ma-issue ni siya nga shares, yung entry ani would be subscribe ordinary share na debit, crediting ka og ordinary share capital, 80,000. Same here. Debit ka ng subscribe preference shares, credit ka ng preference share capital amounting to 90,000, meaning at par value. Okay. Sige. What else? Okay, let's go now to the accounting for treasury shares. Treasury shares. So again, no. For accounting for treasury shares lagi again, treasury shares are issued shares that were reacquired by the company. So for treasury shares na red transaction, acquisition o reissuance. Acquisition and then the issuance. So, by the way, guys, when we say, if maka-remember mo sa pinaka-first na part, was it here? Did I explain it here? Yeah. So, again, treasury, authorized number of shares less ang issued is ang issued nimo nga shares. So, tanan nimo nga nabaligya na to a third person. Less nimo diha ang katong imong gipangpalit balik, that is your issued and outstanding. When you say outstanding, nabaligya na niagi na siya kabaligya o naa pa siya sa kamot sa kanang third party or sa tao other than the corporation. Okay? Sige. So acquisition and reissuance. So for the acquisition of for the acquisition of kanang acquisition of treasury shares acquisition, wala tay labot kung at par, below par, or above par. Wala tay labot. Wala ni siya gain, wala ni siya loss pag acquisition. Okay? So kung for example, kani si gi-reacquire ni company ang iyahang gi-issue kang RONA. Ang tanan gyud iyahang gi-reacquire. Okay? So, for example, or butang lang nga gi-reacquire niya ni tanan ang kang RON, ang kang Severe o kang RUSV. Okay? So, on September 30, 2019. Rona Corporation reacquired the shares issued to Severe for 190,000 and the shares issued to Bruce V for 80,000. Parang talag 50, barat di guys, 60,000. Okay. So once kali nga mag-reacquire ta og shares guys, ang imuhang pro forma entry is ani lang. Debit ka ng treasury shares, ordinary, and then kung talag cash ang imuhang gibayad, and then another one, treasury shares, preference, cash. Okay. So, wala kay labot. Again guys, when it comes to treasury shares, ayun kay pag-account sa iyang acquisition. Pag-account sa iyang acquisition, wala kay labot kung above ba sa, di ba 150 good to. Tapos kayo 190, may hindi ka lugar nga, sir, wala siya nalugi. Again, pag-reacquire nimo sa imuhang shares or pag-acquire nimo treasury shares, forget about the issuance cost or sa issuance price ato nga mga shares. You simply have to entry the amount that you paid for. Okay? So 190,000 para kang Severe, and then 60,000 para kang USV. As you can see, no? This one is above sa katong original cost, while this one is less than the original cost. Diba? So, kanang again, wala tay kanang wala tay care kung above ba or below sa original price ang atong pag-acquire. Basta ang atong pag-record sa treasury shares is kung pila ato ang gibayad. And then, naana yung reissuance of Reissuance. Issuance of Treasury. Treasury shares. So, sa reissuance of Treasury shares, pwede na lang tani at cost. Not the cost sa katong original, but ang cost sa pagpalit niyo sa Treasury shares. Above cost. Again, cost ha, dili par. Cost sa pagpalit nimo. And then, this one is below cost. Okay. So, remember guys ha, nga kaning shares, sige, ito na. So, around a person we acquired the 8,000, kila to ka shares? 15,000. 15,000 shares issued, ordinary shares. It is severe for, and the 12,000 reference shares issued to SB. Okay. Now, pila tong cost anigali ang cost nato sa to ang ordinary is pila to 190,000 at 15,000 shares, and then naatay 60,000 at 12,000 shares. So pila may presyo niya ani kada isa? That's 90 divided by 15. Muna itong cost per share. So the other one, it's 60 divided by 12,000. Okay, sige. So, butang tag at cost. So, assuming that kanang Rona Corporation reissued 7,500 of the ordinary type of the treasury shares ordinary for 95,000 pesos. Okay. So once kalinga mag-reissue ka at cost, sige, butang talaga niyo. Sige. Tapos, so ang nahitabo is kadi di ba ang gi-reissue kani siya nga treasury shares. So imo man siyang gi-issue, naka-receive kag kwarta ha. Naka-receive kag kwarta nga cash 95,000. So this is pila di ang cost ani niya. So pila ang cost sa imong treasury shares? So treasury shares ordinary. So tanaw na to kung equal ba siya. Remember nga ang imong gibaligya is 7,500 of 15,000. Tama, 15,000 ka shares man to, 7,500 ang imong gibaligya. Tas i-multiply nimo na siya sa original cost nga 150,000. So, dili 150. Dito na to. Cost sa treasury 190,000. I'm sorry. 190,000. So with that, you can see nga the treasury shares were issued. The shares were issued at cost. Wala siya nag-raise na discrepancy. But it's above cost. So, assuming that Rona Corporation reissued the remaining 7,500 of the treasury shares ordinary for 120,000. Okay? So nakadawat kag cash nga pila to 120,000. And then imong gi-reissue imong treasury shares ordinary. Ang tibuok ba nga 120 imong i-credit dito sa imong kuan, sa imong treasury shares? No. Ang imong i-credit sa imong treasury shares is ang cost of the treasury. So ang cost of treasury kay di ba 7,500 imong gibaligya out of the 15,000, and then i-multiply nimo na siya sa original cost of treasury nga 190,000. So ang cost of your treasury is 95,000. Man na mabuta ang sobra. Naring kay share premium Treasury. Amounting to 25,000. So this is muna yung entry kung at cost ang pagbaligya sa treasury, muna yung entry kung above cost. What if below cost? So assuming Rana Corporation, we issued the 12,000 naman to, no? No, 12,000 treasury shares preference for 10,000 pesos. Okay. Now, our cash, okay, 10. 50,000 food. Grabe siya. Okay. So, 50,000 pesos. Wait lang ha. Okay. So, pag ingani gali, assuming Rona Corporation will issue the 12,000 treasury shares preference for 50,000 pesos, naka-receive tag cash nga 50,000. Plus remember guys nga naatay treasury shares preference. Okay? So atong treasury first, atong gibalig is 12,000 of 12,000. So meaning ang tibuok nga 120. Tapos ang cost sa ato ang shares is 60,000. Dili tong kuan original katong treasury shares nga cost 60,000. So meaning with this kanang kulang ang imong debit nga, di ba? Kag in a sense, mura nalugi. Kay, pati mo siyang 60,000, nabaligi lang nimo siya at 50. So with that, ang imong hadayang entry ani is, unsa man ang imong i-credit? First, i-credit nimo ang treasury shares. Na, share premium treasury. Sorry. Share premium treasury. Sige, para makita ang ginato. Dili lang 50,000. So 30,000 na lang yun ang nabaligya. 30,000 na siya nabaligya. Okay. So share premium treasury. And then ikaduha dayon is retained earnings. Okay. So as you can see here guys, atong cash na na-receive is only 30,000, but the cost of our treasury is 60,000. Tama? So first, ingon siya nga, ang imong i-credit is ang share premium treasury. Now remember, share premium treasury. So here, natin, di ba na natin share premium treasury? Pero ang iyang share premium treasury is only, kaya natin share premium dito sa taas, but dili unto treasury. Share premium man to sa, to the pet subscription. First ones, dili mo. Natay share premium diri. Pero ordinary og preference. Ang imong pwede ra kuhaan is ang share premium na treasury. So with that, unang natugkuha sa share premium treasury 25,000. Wala na may lain. Kung napay lain, okay ra. Now, di ba, guys, kulang pa. Kung imo nang i-add tining duha, kulang pa ka og tapos kailangan kay 60,000 man. So 60 minus this one, kulang pa kag 5,000. So meaning, ang kulang dayon imo dang ibutang imo dang kuhaon sa retained earnings. Amount is 5,000. Okay? So with that, the retained earnings. Kung wala share premium nga treasury, kung wala share premium nga treasury, diretso ka retained earnings. So meaning ang tibuok nga 30,000 ang atong i-debit to retained earnings. Meaning makuhaan ang imuhang retained earnings. Okay? So with that, we're done with our treasury shares. And Sige. Sige. Mhm. Okay. So with that, we're done discussing our part 2. Hopefully that you have learned something, and hopefully that I was able to get you a catch up on the error na nag-occur adtong ato ang first video. So hopefully guys, you have learned something, and see you on the last installment of the series. Thank you again. Have a great day.